Now, in the Australians media section today, they had a story that Ita Buttrose, the ScoMo-appointed chair of Channel 2, or taxpayer television, if you would like to call it that way, or taxpayer radio, well, they want more money. Why? Because they did their job over summer. Apparently,
you got $1 billion. Fair go.
I know. It's just a pittance. It's just a pittance. I mean, that New Year's Eve thing doesn't just pay for itself. I mean, that is good money well spent, all right? Not to mention, Jimmy Fallon, the NBC output deal, international sports rights that they bid against, SBS, the other taxpayer-funded television joint. Anyway, apparently, Dorrie's told that Buttrose is going to summon her considerable diplomatic and political skills to make an impassioned plea to ScoMo for more money, using the goodwill that the ABC won over its comprehensive bushfire coverage, as if no one else existed. They were the only people doing it. F you to all of the local newspapers, go jump if you work for a local radio station. It was only Channel 2 who was talking about the bushfires. Anyway, she'll apparently say that we need this because we've had to cut 200 jobs. Why? Because the government didn't give them an extra $84 million on top of the $1 billion that they already have. Now, Jenna, I'm all up for public broadcasting, but good luck when you are the biggest media company in the country. Australia doesn't own a bank, doesn't own an airline, doesn't own a health insurer, but we own television and radio stations. We own websites that talk about sex education and all the rest of it under the banner of Channel 2. Like fair income. Every other organisation has to cover disasters. That's what happens when it's the news. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Find your own cloth to cut rather than going in a begging bowl to a Prime Minister who Channel 2 was more than happy to throw under the bus every single night about the bushfires.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the fact that some of those bushfires are still burning, yet she's going to roll into Canberra with a sizzle reel, excuse my pun, and say, look, ScoMo, look at all the goodwill we did for the Australian community, which is great. They great coverage, but they also hold on to those rights closer than I hold on to my jewellery. So they are not letting those go to let other commercial radio networks or commercial television networks take over the emergency broadcast rights as well. So it's pretty tough to kind of go in there and, like you say, have your cake and eat it too. And I guess my hat goes out, my hat comes off to all of those local journos in regional areas that worked tirelessly over summer during those times, whether you worked for the ABC or other regional newspapers or outlets, because, my God, they did a great job.
Yeah, of course they did, but as did Sky, as did 10 Cent, all the reporters going out, and this is what you do, right? I mean, literally, 20 years ago, but when I was a radio reporter, that's what you go and cover the freaking bushfires. I left Christmas lunch many a time to go and cover a story. That's what you do, right, when you're employed.
Trudy McIntosh did a sensational job for us.
Absolutely. The whole team was really, really good. Honestly, they were great, not to mention cameramen, producers and all the rest. But also, Rowan, on top of all of this guff and garbage, right, is that, look, again, Channel 2, if you want to, I noticed in the previous hour somebody was trying to tell Chris Kenny that, well, in the previous year they only had 300 emergency broadcasts, now they had 900. Can I tell you what an emergency broadcast is? They send you a press release saying emergency warning and you read it on the air. Total cost, 4/5 of, exactly, fair income.
Look,
please.
The idea that, Ita Buttrose can just rock up to Kirribilli House or wherever, or Canberra or wherever, and say, please give us more money, has to shine a spotlight. Finally, Australians have got to wake up to the fact that we've been completely dudded by the ABC. Mrs. Kafoops can't wander down to ScoMo and say, I need more money, because I did this well, or I didn't do this, or I've spent my money, I don't have enough. It doesn't work that way. Yes, fine, they did a good job on the bushfires, so did Sky, so did everybody else.
But that's their job. You don't get a gold star for doing your job.
But more importantly, this is costing us $1 billion a year. Even in Britain now, Boris Johnson is looking at getting rid of the BBC. In other words, for exactly the same reasons. And the BBC is not nearly as biased as the ABC, not nearly as left-wing. In Britain, Boris Johnson is now looking seriously at making people pay for the BBC if they want it. Now, we should be doing exactly the same here. People should be offered the choice to pay for the ABC if they want it. Because I'm afraid the quality of what was once a great organisation has gone through the toilet. Many, many people now just simply won't watch it or find other alternatives that suits their tastes better. In this day and age, there is no reason whatsoever for you, the taxpayer, to be forking out money for this glorious castle in Ultimo, these people on these massive salaries who are living the great life and feel that they are entitled to your money. There is no reason for it. This is a fight that Scott Morrison Morrison could win easily by saying what we're going to do now is we're going to make the ABC gradually, over 3 or 4 years, pay per service. So people who really want it will subsidise up until that point where they are self-sustainable, because you should be able to pay for it if you want it and not pay for it if you don't want it.
But Richo, I mean, it's just this thing where the idea, I mean, this is the same organisation that had to fine $30 million this year because they underpaid their casual staff. So on the one hand, we've got to piss people off because we're growing too much, but they can't even pay the people they're paying now. All of this, of course, gets forgotten. Not allowed to talk about all of it. Budget denialism.
Well, I mean, actually, what you raise is interesting, because they're just looking under the, you know, the words you have going across there. They just had ABC board, and you've got to wonder who the hell is the ABC board, because. If I managed a place the way they have, or I was the chairman of or member of a board that has managed the place the way they have, I'd get sacked.
Correct.
I read it the other way. I thought if the ABC are bored, imagine what it's like for all the punters out there.